All right, everybody. Math 8, Unit 2. This is a retake, a final retake for Math 8 of solving equations with variables on both sides. When you have variables on both sides, there's a couple situations where we have a combined like terms here and here. So it actually is going to be 4 steps. But most of the time, variables on both sides is your final 3 steps. So I'll call it a 3-step process or 3-step equation solution. And we have these 3 steps, but we have to review and think about how do we solve equations. So let's take a look here. How do you solve equations? How do you solve an equation? It's pretty simple. There's 3 things to do. First, you check to see if you can distribute. So you apply the distributive property. That's any multiplication that you can do. That's multiply. And then you check to see if on the left side or the right side, if you have anything alike, you want to combine like terms. That's add and subtract. And finally, when you get stuck, when things are not alike, you have to do finally inverse operations. There's 2 kinds. There's first the additive inverse. Additive inverse gives you results in 0. And then you have your multiplicative inverse. That multiplicative inverse, the result is 1. And that's your goal. You want to do that so you can get to the 1x or whatever your variables are. We have different variables in this situation. We have f here in this first problem, and then h. And then we're going to solve it for p, and then we're going to solve for c. So let's take a look here. This is practice. When you practice after this ed puzzle, you want to get a peer tutor. That's somebody that scored 12 or higher on the first CFA. Get them to help you to know and practice, and then get them to sign that. And I could give them something for that possibly. So you want this peer tutor to sign after you finish the ed puzzle and you practice. So during practice. Okay, so we'll take a look here. And on the first problem, you have a variable term, a constant, and a variable term all on the left, and a constant and a variable term on the right. So this variable term, negative 1f and plus 4f, the plus, are going to combine. So we can combine that, negative 1 plus 4f. And I get 3f. And I haven't done anything to the other things, so I'm just going to keep them in their place. I'm going to build a wall for things to remain on the left or the right. And now I have 2 terms that are not alike here and here. So I now have to go to inverse operations. I apply a little bit of strategy. If I want it to stay positive, I'm going to add 3f to both sides because negative 3f plus 3f is 0. Slash it out. Add 3f to the left. This is an addition line. 3f plus 3f is 6f. Bringing everything down, including the sign. Plus 2, the equal sign, the 8. Again, negative 3, if I owe 3 plus 3, I end up with 0. Then I have a 2-step equation left, and I have to get rid of this constant on the side with the variable term. Remember, my goal is to get f by itself. So now I'm going to subtract 2. I'm going to slash out what becomes 0 and bringing things down. 6f, the equals, and 6. I could use mental math here. I could multiply by 1/6, or I could divide by 6. The coefficient is a integer, so I'm going to divide by 6, and I end up with f equals 1. Let's look at the next problem. Again, constant, variable term, constant, constant, variable term. So my two constants, the positive 17 and plus 2 here, I can combine them. I end up with 4h plus 19. 17 plus 2 is 19. Equals 1 minus 5h. Okay. Variable terms on the left and the right. Nothing's alike, so I'm at inverse operations. A little pre-planning here. If I want to stay positive, I want to add 5h. Negative 5h plus 5h, that's 0. They have to be opposites to get to 0. Add 5h on the left, aligning to the like terms. 4h plus 5h is 9h. Bring down the things that are alike. Plus 19 equals 1. Subtract 19 from both sides because you're trying to get h alone. 9h equals negative 18. Again, if my coefficient is a integer, I can divide by 9. It makes my life pretty easy. Double check your sign. Remember, you did 1 minus 19, so that's negative 18. If you have one of something, but you then borrow 19, you owe 18. So you got to keep that negative sign. Negative 18 divided by positive 9 is negative 2. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. Okay, next problem. Now we have a bit of fractions here. That's pretty exciting. We still want to build our barrier or whatever here. Now this is an integer, but this is in a fraction. I'm going to be able to combine these together only if I have a common denominator. Let's rewrite this. 16 minus, we're going to change this into thirds. So the equivalent of 3 in thirds, we need 9 thirds. That's the 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that's the equivalent here of 3. We didn't change the number. 3 whole things, 9 thirds. It's just the 3 whole things are cut into thirds. So you have 9 pieces of those. 2/3 p plus 5. Okay. Now a little strategy. We want to keep it positive, right? So if we're going to keep it positive, let's add 9/3 p on the left, which gets you to 0, and add 9/3 p on the right. Bring down everything that you don't touch. The 16, the equal sign. 2 plus 9 is 11/3 p plus 5. I'm always checking this sign right here, making sure that I have the same sign. Now I have a variable term on the right. I got to get rid of this constant. I'm going to subtract 5. When I'm almost done, that's 0. 11/3 p. 16 minus 5 is 11. And finally, I just multiply by the reciprocal. That's the coefficient. I'm just going to take this coefficient. I'm going to flip it over. I don't include the p. I'm just 3 over 11. Okay, I end up with p on the right, and on the left, the 11s cancel. This 11 in the numerator cancels with the 11 in the denominator, and I'm just left with 3. You could multiply it out and do 33 over 11 and then reduce it, but you can also cross cancel. Okay, we're doing great. We're almost done here. We have one left. Draw the barrier. This is in thirds and that's in thirds, so I don't have to worry because I have a common denominator here. I can subtract 2/3 c. and slash out what becomes 0. 8 minus 2 is 6. The thirds is you don't add the denominators together. C, bring down the minus 2. See how the sign travels with the term? -2 is the term, so you don't leave that negative sign behind. And -12 remains here on the right. Now I'm trying to get C by itself, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. You could reduce 6/3 C to 2C if you want. I'll just leave it as 6/3 2C. I mean 6/3 C. Slash that out. Equals, here's a hard one, -12 plus 2. So I owed 12 of something. I paid off $2 of it, or if that's in money. I paid off 2. I owed 12. I paid 2. I owe 10. -10. Okay, so 8th graders should be able to add and subtract integers together at this point. Okay, so we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, 3/6. And I end up with C equals, okay, I can do a little cross canceling here. That's 3 times 2, so there's a 3 here, that's 1. 3 times 2, so the factor of 3 canceled, and then the 2 goes into 2 once, into 10 5 times, you end up with -5. Circle your answers. If you want to be absolutely sure, you can substitute them back in and check your answers and prepare for the final retake. Good luck.